My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. It's currently 1:08 p.m. and this is again more strategic documentation showing you the pattern of conduct amongst cities, where the pattern of conduct by the state of California is thereby unveiled. This is revealing the illusion that is present in the environment where criminal surveillance is underway, and it is a matter of public corruption. And this is the documentation regarding the fake sun and this is in reference to the video documentation captured at 1:06 p.m. on March 3rd, 2026, when this entity, acting via the City of Ontario, the OVITT Family Community Library, engages in an unlawful and discriminatory act of excluding from the City of Ontario Library based upon malicious assertions. Not just false, but malicious, because they are engaged in surveillance, and it's relevant to what is the criminal surveillance system, what's occurring in furtherance of murder. We're going to pay attention to how they're engaging in the criminal activities, such as using children. This is the entity that has a fake son over me at the same time inside of the Upland Public Library. All right, everybody in here is engaged in monitoring. Everybody's in here is engaged in monitoring because I am here as well. And this is the environment that's present as I documented at 10:04 a.m. just the other day here in Upland, but it's also relevant to the fake son that you saw that's over D Street. Remember, it moves as I move. So now it's going to be over this entrance side, which is impossible. This is where it's at 10 o'clock in the morning. And again, it's 1:06 p.m. That's the government that's engaging in surveillance. It's referred to as criminal summoning. The same pattern of conduct by the gang members of the Ontario, City of Ontario, Ontario Police, Ontario Fire, the Demons of American Medical Response, who are also gang stalking with the City of Upland. And this is the fake son that is over me. And this is in reference to what is occurring at 215 E.C. Street at the same time. Okay, and that's why I captured on video, in order to show that phenomenon, because this is where you're getting to the substantive value regarding a documentation about assertions made regarding that's Upland Police engaging in criminal summoning. They're stalking. Those are demons that are manifesting in front of you. They're actually engaged in light activity, relevant positioning, and audible activity, and they're keeping my vagina under surveillance inside of this bathroom. That's why they're engaging in the ongoing documented pattern of sounding sirens, which is audible activity, under what is in fact a fake sun. It's a fake sun as you isolate the universe to Upland, California, right here at 10:04 a.m. It's also a fake sun while I am in Ontario at the side of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the entity kept the fake sun on the side of the library instead of at the entrance of the library, where it sits from entrance and sunrise until sunset, and a grand departure while I'm now in Upland. This is the significance of all the documentation that I've captured. Criminal summoning is a federal offense. It's 1:11 p.m. The entity is engaging in this while they are engaging in what is surveillance amongst BLVD. This is a gang stalking terrorist leader, just like Paul Leon, okay? The same pattern of conduct where the sun is not going to be here at 10:04 a.m. until 1:10 p.m., 1:11 p.m. 10:04 a.m. until 1:11 p.m. This is, the entity that is isolating the universe. And what are you doing in that supernatural environment? You're engaged in the pattern of conduct and the demon possessed that are in positions that they are unfit to be in, that are engaging in the perpetual sex offense, sexual violence with the population, sexual violence that they practice while intentionally holding the hands of children, which is speaking to the threat that they are to those children while they hide behind children to commit sexual violence like surveillance in a bathroom. They're engaging in this while they are engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct. The City of Upland and the City of Ontario are sharing a criminal pattern of conduct which is supernatural, meaning there's no possible coincidence. It's impossible that it would be a pattern of conduct amongst the population, and it's impossible. It's speaking to what is a clear-cut and proven pattern of conduct amongst the state beyond a reasonable doubt, and to a scientific degree that it's underway as I go from Ontario to Upland. All right, the entity, the City of Upland, is engaging in the pattern of conduct and crossing path by the Upland Police that are engaging in surveillance, and my documentation shows that same gang is engaged in surveillance here while I'm capturing the fake sun at 4, 5, 6 in the evening. This is a lot of the documentation captured in 2022, which remains scientifically relevant, and it remains relevant to date as of 2026, time of year, and ongoing analysis regarding what is criminal conduct that's happening right in your face. This is the entity that's monitoring. Okay, so this is the P.O.C. This is the crossing of path light activity, and that's why the fake sun is here. They're keeping engineered light inside of the library, monitoring all my devices, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, doing so while the city is stalking me as I come in and out of Upland, and the entity is engaged in what is the ongoing cycle of criminal summoning. San Bernardino County Fire Department, American Medical Response, and the Upland Police Department engaging in the same exact P.O.C. And by the way, Upland Police committed kidnapping while they're engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct, and that is the basis of disbanding. The entities engaging in the P.O.C. while the people of the state are inside of the venue. And you're looking at what is the prosecution of terrorist leaders such as BLVD, such as Paul Leon, such as the terrorist leader in Los Angeles, Karen Bass, such as the terrorist leader that is engaging in what is gang stalking companies, like Bezos, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking with the Upland, the city of Upland. That's light activity, relevant positioning. Okay, Amazon Prime is engaging in the pattern of conduct and doing so by pulling out a package, doing so while the entity sounds sirens is the criminal cooperative act of monitoring. This is demonic. These are demons, and this is terrorism. This is gang violence underway in the city of Upland in the exact same manner that it's underway, because the sun is not simultaneously sitting on the side directly over my head in this same manner in Ontario at the OVITT Family Community Library. And that is the threat that is Amazon Prime, the San Bernardino County Fire Department, gang members, okay, selling you products, abusing positions of authority that where the focus is actually surveillance, keeping genitalia under surveillance, engaging in that with minor children, like OVITT Family Community Library does, while abusing the developmentally challenged, who are also gang stalking in violation of the law, while they're abusing and violating the Welfare and Institutions Code, while they are then engaging in what are acts of obstruction of justice, such as formulating documents and making malicious assertions, because they are keeping this evidence under surveillance, and it is a basis of federal prison. In the same way that you see the Upland Public Library engaging in the pattern of conduct, Sean Thrasher's going to federal prison. He's not the only one. He is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 1:15 p.m. The entity keeps the fake sun, as I documented, after 5 p.m. and the image is captured yesterday. Yesterday was March 9th, 2026, where this fake sun is still shining through the windows of the same library. So this is the people of the state that are gang stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. And sex offenders are in custody of minor children, engaging in what is terrorism with minor children, engaging in that pattern of conduct with knowledge that they're going to be documented. And it is no longer any sort of persuasive or deceptive means of engaging in the P.O.C. You're looking at psychopathic behavior by demons who are no longer veiled. And that is the straight up and down revelation regarding this criminal pattern of conduct in California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:15 p.m. The cities in the state of California are serving to prosecute each other. Like the gang members are serving to prosecute each other. The gang members of LAPD, the gang members of Fontana Police, the gang members of Upland Police, the gang members of Ontario Police. I will be prosecuting them against each other. Excuse me, I will be prosecuting all of them while I pit their criminal conduct, which I documented, with regard to what is the natural environment, which is impossible, while they are targeting. All right, and this is evidence that NASA itself cannot reject. Okay, and this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct with impunity. This is psychopathic pacing. This is what they're doing on the freeway. This is what the Ontario National Airport is doing with commercial planes. This is what the police departments are doing by helicopter. They're doing it under the fake sun. They are the mentally ill. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. Want you to see this? This is a sex offense committed the 10 freeway. Remember, this is implicating the state, California highways, engaging in federal stalking, doing so the shadows of their cars. Where have you seen that before? The 537 North Euclid Avenue bus stop, where the people of the state are stalking with impossible light. That's the opposite side of this freeway. The entity turning on and off the lights on the bridge, targeting me in the city of Upland. The entity doing so after they're watching, and they're highly aggressive and hostile based on the evidence that they're keeping under surveillance. And they are all sharing in this documented sex act that I just documented, captured right now. My shadow appearing over there is impossible light. They're the shadow of their cars going north and south, going both directions. What you're looking at, they're demons. So is Amazon. Okay, the demon in an Amazon vehicle, letting you know what's wrong with Bezos and why that company is documented engaging in domestic terrorism of a satanic nature for years. And this is replete with the entity's signature regarding gang stalkers that are going to be disbanded and that are going to be committed, and they're going to federal prison, and so are the people of the state. That's the P.O.C. This is at 1544 North Euclid Avenue. Okay, the historic documentation where I've sat here for hours under the fake sun, sat here for hours under the fake moon, being molested, subject to the sex offense, and having to do so in order to document a population. And that evidence remains relevant. All right, and they're going to be federally prosecuted. Even if their license plate, they don't have the vehicle anymore, it's a means of tracking. The federal government knows who you are. This surveillance system, you're not going anywhere. And I documented you. There is no statute of limitations, especially while you're still gang stalking. I'm talking to the whole demon-possessed population that have no problem showing the world that I'm right about the fact that they're gang stalkers. Because that's what that evidence is. The entity is blinded with hostility regarding exposure of their criminal activity, their mental illness. And they provide an ongoing concession, proof, confirmation regarding the message that I'm giving to you, all of you who are listening, who are paying attention to what Christ Jesus has said. He's coming back, and he's coming back in judgment.
And this is a manifestation of judgment. The wicked are being federally prosecuted for monitoring American citizens and sacrificing them. And they tried it on me, and I'm the one that's here to expose it and prosecute it. And because they failed in that sacrifice, it will be the bankruptcy of the state of California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:22 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the state with whom the people of the state are committing sexual assault and battery by the masses. Okay, this is the city of Ontario that's maintaining aerial surveillance as I'm walking south down Euclid Avenue, and I am documenting the people of the state that are maintaining criminal surveillance at the facilitating venues where they reside, where that same exact supernatural environment remains around for purposes of sexual violence. It's an unlawful touching while you are being gang stalked by the people, a population maintaining this unlawful and inhumane surveillance system in concert with the government, which the city of Ontario and the city of Upland are demonstrating for you. The entity is engaged in this, and I want to be clear, this is harassment, psychological torture, sexual assault and battery, ongoing threats regarding your well-being, your safety, your life. And it's also criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder while the entity is acting with the intent to obstruct justice. In other words, they're engaging in what is the psychopathic behavior, not only because they are targeting, but because I'm publishing the evidence on the internet, which is speaking to what is enhancement to the prosecution of the state. Terrorist leaders like Mike Lorenz and Paul Leon, the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state who are stalking in the path as I'm walking south down Euclid Avenue. This is unlawful conduct, including where you live. It will be documented with regard to the pattern of conduct by the city of Ontario. They're doing so with the government that maintains no airline companies are taking off or landing by floating north and south of Euclid Avenue. The entity is engaging what is stalking with light on behalf of the government that's maintaining aerial surveillance over my head, including where they reside. And the entity that's engaged in that is with regard to what is that ongoing criminal case against the state. All right, the state of California that's maintaining the U.S. government's P.O.C. This is a federal case. This is domestic terrorism, and it's underway in California, as I have proven that in the city of Ontario, the city of Upland, the city of Fontana, the city of Los Angeles, etc., etc. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:58 p.m. These are sex offenders, and as you see their headlights are not going to reach across the street and cause my shadow to be projected against any property. These are demons. So when you're looking at the physical person that's operating the vehicle, you are essentially, with regard to understanding how supernatural this is, you're essentially seeing their demons that are the shadow light activity that's occurring at a distance. They're demonstrating their demon possession to you while I show you a supernatural pattern of conduct. They do that while they manifest light. That's a demon that's physically operating a vehicle, and their demon possession is evident and it's shared by the people of the state. While they sit stationary, they're engaged in psychopathic pacing because that's not an individual, that's the entity. The entity that's engaging in what is psychopathic pacing in the sky space and on the roads and the highways and remaining in facility and venues. This is pathic conduct, okay? That frequency of points. I just documented that. You have another one. This video is at 2 minutes and 49 seconds. That's the psychopathic pacing. And that's exactly what you're looking at, the stalking with peculiarized light. All right, that's Bank of America, that's gang stalking. The entity's doing this with the city of Ontario, P.O.C.
Ontario police stalking by helicopter again, while Bill Velto, who is a domestic enemy, he is unfit for office, is being declared as such in the federal prosecution of the U.S. government, which is being prosecuted, being published in this public investigation on the social media platform where the P.O.C. is underway. And pursuant to that documented pattern of conduct where Bill Velto in the city of Upland is engaged in and is sharing the criminal pattern of conduct, the gang leaders themselves of the Ontario Police Department, the same entity, commit an act of terrorism, stalking and harassing and threatening by helicopter, as though they are going to drop bombs and begin shooting and engage in what is another kidnapping, whatever act of terrorism that they are inspired to engage in while they keep me under surveillance and my devices under surveillance, having no legitimate interest, no warrant, no probable cause. This is the entity that is indeed stalking, and Bill Velto, the city of Upland, threatened my life and safety while that entity stalks me by helicopter as I am documenting a domestic terrorist, masquerading as a mayor. You are not a mayor when you're engaged in the pattern of conduct. That's exactly what the city of Upland is engaging in. That's exactly what the Upland Public Library, the Upland Civic Center, the Upland City Hall, while the entity engages in that criminal pattern of conduct, and it is going to be published to the world regarding that criminal system that is fully underway.
unhindered in Upland, California. And I remain subject to terrorism in Ontario as I document that, which is also relevant for the prosecution and for the exposure of terrorists such as BLVD. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:49 p.m. in the city of Ontario, where the city of Upland is threatening my life and safety while I document them. That is the entity. That's the pattern of conduct. I document the people of the state, the entity. The gang members are stalking and harassing by helicopter as I publish the evidence regarding the entity. The gang members are stalking and harassing by helicopter. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:49 p.m.
All right, this demon is stalking. That's Impossible Light moving across that gate. He's stalking with the Ontario police. See that? This is prison. 86633 Apple 4. This is a Latino male. And he's doing so with the rest of the people of the state. And the helicopter's chasing me more. He's going to prison. He's threatening my life and safety and well-being. And he comes out down the alley, knowing exactly where I'm at, doing so with the police who are stalking at the 10 freeway, coming from Upland, stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library, and stalking while coming from the Stater brothers. I want to be clear. Mike LORENZ is a vagina monitoring psychopath. He's a mentally ill, delusional, violent sex offender. So it's everybody that is, again, that's the basis for being initiated upon this cult, which is no police department. Ontario police are so unstable. This is ridiculous stalking, ridiculously annoying stalking, and ridiculously psychotic and obvious. They are blatantly stalking from place to place. That demon is going to prison. That's what the entity does while they are conspiring your murder. You will not be engaging in stalking with a police department that gets away with state-sanctioned murder and kidnapping and avoid being put in prison. This is what the entity is doing as a population, and they are literally doing this on video. Remember, this is the agency that asserted with Tracy Banks that, first of all, that I'm mentally ill, that they ever had a basis to ever that it's kidnapping, but to ever arrest me in the first place while they've been engaged in stalking. This directly rebuts everything that they've ever stated. Moreover, Tracy Banks, this entity, stealing my identity, lying about being married to me on paper, while I've been maintaining what you know is years of evidence of stalking by a police department, and it's shared, the pattern of conduct is shared by the city of Upland, which I'm showing you. This is the evidence that's going to remove Paul Leon. And the same conduct that's underway in any city is going to remove any terrorist leader, so the office that Paul Leon holds. You're not a mayor. This is psychopathic pacing. And remember how it starts. As I document the people of the state who are stalking with this agency in furtherance of murdering me. So the psychopathic pacing remains as I'm in operation of my device, just like at the town square last night, and the entities engaged in what is flying in circles over my head. At the town square as I'm publishing evidence on the internet. This is very obvious. The entity's not being mysterious whatsoever. And I just want to be clear, federal law and at federal prosecution in court and this ongoing investigation is going to be very clear as well. This is P.O.C. Mike LORENZ is severely mentally unwell. This is direct evidence that is revealing that. It's a shared pattern of conduct. That's how you can literally assess a person by what is the pattern of conduct. This is not individual conduct. This is P.O.C. and that was, again, not a stranger in the engineered environment coming down a side alley to cut off my path while these demons are stalking in helicopter and they engage in flying in circles. Let's document the rest of the people who are gang stalking in relevant position. P.O.C., 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 P.O.C. They are monitoring. They're engaging in criminal surveillance. And under the Constitution, this is entirely unprotected, and it's also very damning evidence against that population who are going to prison for conspiring murder by maintaining criminal surveillance where they live, and then also seeking to maliciously exercise, that is, abuse the benefits, the protections of the rights under the Constitution, which don't exist upon federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's what the people of the state do. This is a facilitating venue. This is P.O.C. They're creating light activity. That's a demon. That's light activity. That's P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. Where strangers are cutting you off in the path to engage in stalking cooperative with the police, they're all monitoring. This is the entity that's engaged in that while they are threatening me as I document BLVD. BLVD is unfit for office. The same pattern of conduct is underway by the demons of the Upland Police Department. The entity engaged in that psychopathic behavior under the fake sun at 1:08 p.m. and is supposed to be sitting at the OVITT Family Community Library where C. Gerber, an unstable psychopath who's going to prison, is gang stalking me at that venue. A grand departure while it's over me, while the Upland Police, the city of Upland, engage in what is criminal summoning. Those demons that are manifesting, engaging in psychotic behavior, activity creation, while I'm exposing the city of Upland, which is exposing the U.S. government. P.O.C. It is currently 11:14 p.m. The city of Ontario is going to be federally prosecuted in the same way you see. This is impossible light activity. Mike LORENZ is being removed from the position where he is a threat to society, and so is that agency. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 11:14 p.m. We're an agency. They are stalking me, a woman. A whole police department is stalking me. And they've been spending millions of dollars, which Paul Leon is not ignorant about. That's why he's losing his position. And he's going to be federally prosecuted for actually funding terrorism. P.O.C. That's the audible activity following the video you just listened to of the mentally unstable demons. This is the Nephilim that are calling themselves the Ontario Police Department, just like the Nephilim referring to themselves as the city of Upland, the Upland Police Department, and they're engaged in the demonic pattern of conduct. This is the Nephilim that fills the state of California that's engaged in the P.O.C. And you're listening to the helicopter activity as I am walking through the neighborhood, which is speaking to following. Okay, it's also following as a matter of evidence while I'm at the 10 freeway, and then I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, and then I'm walking through the streets back from Stater Brothers, where that entity is maintaining helicopter. That's also the evidence of following. Okay, what you're mindful of is also the evidence that shows, as I'm documenting on a day-to-day basis, the fake sun documentation that remains over this block from sunrise till sunset. And then I go to Upland, California, and there's a whole totally new type of universe where there must be more than one sun. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that at what is Superior Justice Law Group at 228 C Street. This is where the entity is stalking by helicopter. This is following as I'm walking down the street. This is where the entity is. The Ontario police are stalking on the side of the where the venue of the overweight Caucasian female with license plate, where she's engaged in gang stalking serially at her home. This is where she's doing so on behalf of the Ontario police, who are gang stalking me now conspicuously, and she's doing so on an ongoing basis while she is residing in a facilitating venue, and that's why the entities engage in that. And by the way, they're doing so while they are following through the neighborhood, okay, by helicopter. So I'm at that facilitating venue where that third party whose license plate I'm going to remind you about right now. The entity, including her engaging in sexual assault and battery while a demon crosses path, just like you saw in video, to engage in stalking with light, touches my person, which is a sexual assault and battery at 11 o'clock at night. When you're cruising through the streets to engage in stalking a woman who also is aware of the fact that you are stalking her. And you're also aware of the fact that she's documenting and publishing evidence, sharing evidence that you're stalking her. And that inspires the mentally unstable Mike LORENZ and entire agency to climb in helicopters and pursue even more. That's how you're understanding the significance of this criminal activity that they are just handing over, and that they've been doing so for years. Okay, the license plate of this third party, who I'm documenting on a serial basis, every time I walk through the neighborhood, and they are gang stalking as a neighborhood. This is the entity that is stalking as a neighborhood. This is the entity that's doing so because that specific environment, which includes the government stalking you, and you will be prosecuted, yes, where you pay rent, where you pay your mortgage, where you're occupying what is a facilitating venue. Meaning, as the target individual is in your presence by walking through the neighborhood, you will be federally prosecuted for stalking. And that's based on the stalking that you're listening to the Ontario police commit. Okay, it's currently 11:19 p.m. And the license plate that I want to read to you, while this third party is serially in her vehicle engaging in the pattern of conduct, she's doing so on behalf of this agency that's gang stalking me outside of her home. And I'm just using her as an example because she is the one that has been engaged in the blatant, egregious gang stalking system in furtherance of my murder, and doing so with impunity, making threats to summon those very stalkers. And that's why you go to prison. That's exactly why you go to prison. I'm going to call the police, is what she said, and it's on video. And the police are the gang stalkers. That's a threat to your life and safety, and they are mentally unstable, engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. And I want to be clear, her license plate is Paul Zebra Frank 062. gang stalking at the facilitating venue, and coming outside even now to engage in activity creation. License plate 8 Jerry David Charlie 516 is also parked in front of that facilitating venue, which is 218 C Street. Okay, this is P.O.C. I just want you to hear that, because every neighborhood, every city, for example, every license plate, every house number is going to be prosecuted while they're stalking with an unstable, murder, bloodthirsty, gang stalking police department like Ontario Police. Because while I document them, the entity is stalking you more by helicopter, flying over my head. Let me get a picture of that. P.O.C. Flying over my head. While the entities engage in this based on what is on the internet, and it's staying on the internet, and it belongs on the internet, the identity of the people of the state, all up and down Euclid Avenue. Yeah, this third party is psychotic. He's stalking with the Ontario Police in the same manner that the Caucasian female is. I just took a picture of the black vehicle. They're doing so in front of the same facilitating venue, 218 C Street, on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. Okay? They're doing so where they reside. You will be federally prosecuted where you live while you're engaged in any other federal offense, including federal group stalking and monitoring. All right, but this is what I want to document. The entities engaged in this. While I am publishing, you're going to look at my evidence, and this is what Mike LORENZ, a mentally ill and delusional violent sex offender who is a terrorist leader, and this agency that has already lost in an endeavor. They're not getting paid. They're not completing any sacrifice. To the contrary, they've been exposed as murderers, engaging in maintaining a criminal enterprise while they've been obsessively stalking me and monitoring my vagina for years. These demons are not only engaged in that criminal conduct, they've exposed everyone else. They didn't just go down as criminals because they could have stopped there, because they engaged in such obsessive and psychotic conduct with regard to what is being delusional regarding having lost in that criminal endeavor. They have confirmed the fact that every other actor is gang stalking, meaning the people of the state are gang stalking with them, which I already established unilaterally with the evidence, but the Ontario Police criminal pattern of conduct have confirmed the people of the state are gang stalkers. They're engaged in terrorism, because that's what that is under the law. All right, the entities engage in this while they are watching the evidence systematically published on the venue of the internet, evidence that's going to serve for what is informing the medical field regarding assessing, identifying a threat to the public, which is mentally ill behavioral health concerns regarding the demon possessed, who engage in this psychopathic behavior, who are engaging in criminal activity. This is also informing the criminal justice system, federal legislation. It's informing the federal government regarding investigating this corrupt system, and those like the Ontario Police who commit murders and kidnappings and are maintaining criminal activity under the guise of wearing police uniforms, where they are cloaking a criminal system. They have no intention of engaging in law enforcement. They are fully devoted to criminal activity. That's literally why the Ontario Police Department exists. Okay, and they share in that criminal pattern of conduct, and that's why they're following me as I'm walking through the streets at 11 o'clock at night, by the way, at that. And this is also speaking to the violence that the people of the state have committed. That's the Ontario Police Department engaging in violence, and they're going to prison. Don't forget about CEASELESS. Don't forget about Jay Sandoval. Don't forget about Corey Walton. Don't forget about Alex Escobar. Don't forget about you have Edwards, that's gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library entrance under the fake sun at 10 a.m. Don't forget about A. Casada. Don't forget about all these demons that are gang stalking at Safeco Auto upon being criminally summoned, pursuant to what is some claim of trespassing that didn't exist. It didn't occur. But this is the entity that's hostile to being documented, where no trespass is actually occurring, and also under the law, you're not trespassing when you're on a facilitating venue subject to surveillance. So that is the entity that's engaged in that, and you're remembering Johnson, you're remembering Sergeant Hall, remember all these demons, you're remembering Ponce. Don't forget about all these demons. Don't forget about the entity that's engaged in gang stalking me outside of what is off of B Street. With this entity that's stalking by helicopter, all these demons. M. Ross, that I'm documenting, 2022, every single last one of them are going to prison. Every single last one of them. And they're engaging in this ongoing confirmation. Like I stated at the outset, the police are stalking. The police don't have any probable cause. It does not exist. No reasonable suspicion exists when you're engaged in criminal surveillance. That directly trumps, directly rebuts
that you're engaging in anything remotely related to the execution of duties of officers. You are not free to engage in stalking and hiding it by wearing a uniform, by fictitiously exercising authority that you do not have. And just because you disregard the law, just because you abuse it, doesn't give you authority under it. In fact, that's why this investigation is absolutely necessary. It is key in identifying and proving these are stalkers that cloak themselves as having authority. And because of that abuse of authority, it results in murders and kidnappings. They're going to prison. Okay? Vehicle 1040, that's license plate, criminal summoning. That's the entity that's engaged, the entity that listens to me. How many times have I documented that? The entity that listens to me document and tells them their sentence through my podcast, engages in crossing path, ongoing concession. They already know that they're going to prison. There's a long laundry list. I don't care if you put your hands on me, you're going to prison. If I documented you in my presence, you're going to prison because you were stalking. And while they're stalking right now, as that's no coincidence, while the entity is stalking me by helicopter, there has never been what is the ability to prosecute a police department for criminal activity. This has never happened. This is not even what the Rodney King beating was. Understand that that was the criminal justice system. They were playing cops and robbers. This is speaking to what is full-on exposure for corruption. And there is no one that is on the side of the government or that's going to withhold information or that is playing any double sides. I am fully exposing what is out and out corruption by everyone involved. I mean, the judges, the attorneys, the so-called medical professionals, the population itself, the courthouse, even the venue where it's located. It is exposing corruption. It's an entirely corrupt system. That has never happened before. This is a prosecution of the system. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the Rodney King beating. With regard to what was not, and I'm not speaking to me being a black person and being physically assaulted by the police. I'm speaking to the egregious criminal activity of a police department and then being prosecuted for it. Even that, as egregious as that was this corrupt system in operation, believe it or not. The very attorneys, the PDs, the district attorneys, they are a part of this system. They are a part of this corrupt system. So they were playing in your face, in other words, in the vernacular. Disingenuously keeping themselves entertained, well, keeping themselves employed, really. And it is really the entity that's engaging in what is maintaining a system, creating the illusion of true justice being accomplished, when in actuality, none of them are speaking to the fact that they know more than they put on. They maintain an ongoing illusion regarding privacy, while then they are operating the criminal justice system, which is inherently corrupt because of that fact. This is exposing the fact that the government is corrupt, the fact that the government's engaged in surveillance. And the government is fully anticipating it because the government that's engaging in surveillance is the very defendant. The one that's pulling up in front of me as I'm speaking to the fact of a laundry list of demons who are going to prison, while you are listening to in the background ongoing helicopter activity as I'm walking through the neighborhood, and that at late at night in the environment that you are already aware of. A fake sun, ongoing engineered environment, all engineered impossible light activity, shadow floating above my head. You have multiple shadows all over the ground. This is surveillance. They know everything you're saying. They know who you are. They know where you intend to go, while there are demons who are monitoring you. That has never been within the walls of the courtroom. And it is criminal surveillance. It is scientifically relevant evidence. And it is speaking to the fact that this has never been prosecuted before. They're going to federal prison, and no one has ever prosecuted a police department in the way in which I'm going to prosecute the gang stalkers in the state of California. Because this is serving to prosecute LAPD, the Fontana Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the San Diego Police Department and County Sheriff's Department, the Kern County Sheriff's Department, all of whom are documented gang stalking me, including by helicopter, with a fake sun in that engineered environment. And the Ontario police are those that are exposing to you the very threatening mental illness that the Nephilim, who are demons, people who are demon possessed, what they pose. And they are intentionally disguising themselves as police officers, and they are not. Police officers have an actual purpose. They are dressing up like it. They're going through the academy. They're getting that certification, but they have no intention of engaging in that. They are disguising themselves. They are engaging in murders and kidnappings, sacrificing, and it's pursuant to a system. And they are engaging, and they shall be criminally responsible for the conduct of the Nephilim, who are the people of the state as well, based on the disguise that they've been maintaining. And the Nephilim, who are demons who do not care about the actual vessels, the people that they're using, like Mike Lorenz, who is not right now thinking about the fact that he's not getting a final paycheck. Nobody cares about his wife and kids or whatever he lays down with at night. It might be a horse. He's a demon. This is a psychopath that's engaging in criminal conduct. Is hostile because of the level of exposure, because of who it is that's exposing him, and as opposed to the consequences and the repercussions, the implications, the bigger picture, not thinking about that. That's why you have that level of evidence following me through the neighborhood. That is conclusive evidence. That's not a coincidence. And how many times have I documented that? How many times will you ever find more than one sun in the sky? Have you ever seen two suns in the sky? Perhaps not next to each other, but you have when you're looking at my evidence, and then you're looking at what's over the OVITT Family Community Library in Ontario. If you look at what's happening at the Upland Public Library, if you look at what's happening over you in Idaho and what's remaining over me in California at one building all day long. This is an entity that's engaging in what is a very obvious and asinine criminal system, and they're demons. They're not intelligent. They do lack self-control. That is a threat to the national security because they do bear weapons. They do intend and have been getting away with committing murders systematically and making money, profiting off of, stealing inheritance and stealing wealth from people that they defame and kidnap and murder, accuse them as criminals, defame their characters, just like this Ontario Police Department has. And while those facts are being recited, they're still just flying in circles in the sky space, following me around in the neighborhood, stopping at the intersection, communicating a threat. As I am speaking to the fact that they are indeed going to prison. M. Ross, that's gang stalking me in May of 2022, that demon's going to federal prison. The federal government, he's going to federal prison, and you can mark my words. His partner that's gang stalking me in 2026 is confirming he's going to federal prison. That's exactly what's going to happen. This is an entity that is in no position to do anything regarding the evidence exposing Upland, California, the demons gang stalking in those neighborhoods in Upland, California, every license plate published. It is adding to the evidence. It is always serving the prosecutorial purposes of the P.O.C. And the entity that is psychopathic and maniacal provides more and more evidence regarding what it is that I'm documenting in the first place. That they are stalking, that they are engaged in surveillance, and they're also engaging in surveillance on the internet, on devices, as a means of a system where these requirements under the law, such as a warrant and probable cause, are merely serving the illusion that you have privacy. And because of that illusion, because of that disguise, wearing these police uniforms, because of the disguise regarding service and protection and execution of the law, because of that disguise, which is a threat to American citizens who do not stand a chance against that big, great machine, you're going to prison for that. This is domestic terrorism. This is P.O.C. And this is why you have a whole bunch of delusional demons that are out here stalking in the middle of the night. You're going to prison with that buffoon in the helicopter. You're going to prison together. You're both going to prison. These are demons that are engaging in this conduct because they're merely angry. You can be this is how nonsensical it is. And this, I want to be clear, people are murdered over this. This is what they typically do. The Ontario police are so unstable. They've been stalking me for years, and you've been looking at me documenting the fact that they accuse me of this and they accuse me of that, and they engaged in this ongoing kidnapping. They were stalking me the whole time. Every time they're in my presence, it's based on stalking. Every single time. It has always been, it will never be a legitimate prosecution on its face because it's pursuant to stalking. That's the significance of the P.O.C. In addition to, we can go through and finesse all the facts. We can dissect the information because also in substance, they will be federally prosecuted. But the P.O.C. is showing that you are stalking on an ongoing basis. You don't have any probable cause. You are engaged in criminal activity, and you thought that your position was going to override and supersede the facts establishing that you're stalking me. And you intended that to be the case. You're going to prison. And this is, again, Derek Williams and Mike Lorenz. Stalking me at the intersection while they're listening to me document. Stalking me by helicopter, doing so with the people of the state. And so is Wells Fargo, 240 North Euclid Avenue. Demons stalking at night, walking through the streets, doing so on behalf of the Ontario Police. They are a threat to the public. I have given this speech many times before, and this is an entity that's engaging in this while they are anticipating. They are already in anticipation regarding what are ongoing repercussions, regarding martial law, regarding a federal prosecution, regarding federal raids, and they're still engaging in that. That is not going to be forgotten. When you are dealing with very much threats to this country, enemies to this country, like Mike Lorenz, and that is not an exaggeration. This is the definition of gang violence, domestic terrorism. That's exactly what he is. That's exactly what this agency is. And they have no problems being that in front of you because they're no longer able to gang stalk in secret. I have, and the P.O.C. has forced these terrorists to do it in front of everyone, and they are doing it in front of everyone. In front of everyone. Because you want to get out your frustration, because I just published about another 15-minute video identifying countless license plates and house numbers and addresses and neighborhoods on Google Drive, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow. I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to document some more. I'm going to publish more. And this is supplemental regarding what the federal government is going to make known, like any other sex offender on the Megan's list. This is the P.O.C., and that's what the entity is engaging in. And they're doing so in concert with the people. What the Ontario Police Department are doing, the people of the state share in. This is how this system operates. And they're all the living dead. These are zombies. They're demons. They're already dead. And now you're seeing someone that is contending with the wicked. They're not engaged in witchcraft. They're demons. Demons don't have any authority. You don't have any authority over Christ Jesus. So this is the entity that it's inevitably over. And this tangible evidence, this prosecution is their proof. They're witnessing their own demise. And you're looking at them engage in an ongoing progressive crash out while they engage in this sort of conduct over and over and over again, which no federal investigation, no federal court and federal law is not going to forget this. How many times I have documented the Ontario Police following me through the neighborhood, stalking me by helicopter. Stealing my car October 2nd, 2019, following me from the OVITT Family Community Library in helicopter back to Tracy Banks' apartment. Stealing my vehicle and then following me, terrorizing, harassing me by helicopter. I've been documenting this for years. They're going to prison because Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams wasn't put in prison in 2019 or 2020. You think that you're not going to prison? It takes an amount of time to create this sort of case, to prove those sorts of allegations, not just to prove them, but also to prove that there's no possible way that it's anything other than what I said that it is. There's no other way. There's no possible way. Because you are talking about a population, because you are talking about evidence regarding that is the intangible, if you will. But the intangible has been proven and established by the tangible. This is P.O.C. The entities engaging in what are scare tactics. I'm not scared of any demon. Every single last one of them are scared of me. That's why they pull out helicopters. Every single last one of them are scared of me. That's why they are stalking with while they're using police vehicles and wearing badges, because those demons are scared of me. That's why they're targeting me when I've been minding my business. Those are demons, and they're scared of me. That's the reality. And that's because of who they are in the spirit. They're inferior, lower beings. They have sex with children. They do all the despicable things. They do all the wicked, evil things. They practice homosexuality while they live their lives as though they're normal, go home with their spouses and have their 2.5 kids. Their whole existence is fake. They engage in homosexuality because they're summoning demonic spirits. They practice witchcraft. They do so as a criminal enterprise with those that are inside and outside of the United States, those that are inside and outside of the state of California, pursuant to what is surveillance, ongoing despicable things like sex trafficking, the Ontario Police Department engaging in that, keeping my vagina on the internet, making money off of it, doing so with Tracy Banks,
while defaming my character as well, lying as though I'm going to traffic myself, I'm putting myself on OnlyFans, I'm putting my vagina out there, the same vagina that they're monitoring, stalking me in bathrooms, that's the one that's sex trafficking me as well. They're going to prison. They are going to federal prison. While you want to show yourself stalking me at the intersection, that same admission is going to apply when you're catching charges for all of that criminal conduct. They're highly unintelligent. They're demons. That's a threat to you. You need to know who they are. And they make themselves very clear. They're not intelligent. They're not crafty. They are not elite. No, they are not. No, they are not. There's nothing elite about stalking somebody with noise. That's barbaric. You're acting like a dog. You're acting like an animal, a zoo animal, an unkept animal. There's nothing elite about that. They're demons. You think about the sexiest celebrity, whoever you think is it. They're a demon. They're not that. That demon is cloaking itself in what you find to be a physically impressive. It's a demon. It's a monitoring spirit. It's a disgusting being that's monitoring my vagina at that. These demons know who I am. That's why you have the whole city of Ontario, the whole state of California stalking me. This is why you have the Ontario International Airport using their commercial planes, airline companies stalking me. This is why you have a police department, not a real police department, but nonetheless posing as a police department, the resources of a police department, money of the municipality spent on stalking me. One person that has exposed to the nth degree every detail about what this entity has, what this entity commits, and how you were able to identify it at any location, even in other parts of the world, because it's centered on the environment and the behavioral pattern in that environment. The environment is a part of that pattern. They're engaging in what is supposed to appear as normalcy. Nothing's normal when the sun's not going anywhere. They're all poor actors. They're all demons. They're all violent sex offenders, keeping your vagina, keeping your genitalia under surveillance. That's how obsessed they are with you. They're demons who are obsessed with monitoring you. They treat the human body like it's some subject to study because they're not human. They're demons. They are demons crawling in helicopters because that's the only thing that those demons could conjure up. It doesn't work. In fact, I'm going to use it to have you committed. You're going to be committed while you are stalking beyond a reasonable doubt from place to place to place for a prolonged period in an environment that is supernatural to happen. In fact, it's impossible to happen. That's why I kept it on the record and documented the fact that that impossibility is an ongoing occurrence where you are stalking me from place to place to place. They're demons, and they are spending millions of dollars on stalking me because they know who I am, and they're engaging in that conduct when they lack self-control. And those demons have eaten the insides of psychopaths like Mike LORENZ, who do not have any wit about them, who do not have any self-control, who engage in murdering people who know much less and have much less skill set, ability to expose them, and speak in an intelligent manner regarding this psychosis that is the Ontario Police Department or the demon-possessed entity in and of itself. Because what they do is mentally ill conduct. And in order to intellectualize it, in order to seriously discuss it, because they are mentally ill, not the targeted individual. They're the ones that thought these sick things up, not the targeted individual. They're the ones executing it, not the targeted individual. And the targeted individual certainly isn't imagining it. You are all witnessing that. In the absence of the P.O.C., Mike LORENZ kidnaps people, murders people, defames people, steals from people, and sets people up. You're going to federal prison for that. For these puppets that are stalking me, that are sitting up masturbating while they're following me around, doing so, following from place to place, not even having any strategy. They're so sloppy with it. As soon as I start documenting, here comes another helicopter. What sort of strategy is that? You have no intention in court in pleading not guilty. You don't even plan to do that. This is how psychotic they are because they're not humans. They're demons. These demons don't care about the people that they're using up.
These people are already blinded. They're already cursed. That's what's stalking, and even that is analyzed under the law. To prosecute for, to recover for. This is P.O.C. It's 11:44 p.m. The entity is stalking. I want to be clear. That demon that is stalking me, that's a rapist. That's a stalker. That's a psychopath driving down an intersecting alley, knowing exactly where I'm at, targeting in the specific environment, while the Ontario police are following me in that neighborhood to engage in what is stalking me with that department by helicopter. And as I begin documenting that stalker, in fact, the Ontario police commence the psychopathic pacing in circles above me. That third party with that license plate is going to federal prison for that. That is literally the pattern of conduct that the entity is doing through millions of people all together. This is P.O.C. It's 11:45 p.m. The entity is I want to be clear, the Ontario police are gang stalking. They'll be seen on the surveillance camera when you're listening to this podcast. Ontario police, I read the vehicle number, stalking me on the roads and the highways, doing so while they are listening in real time. Those are the demons that are keeping my vagina under surveillance, knowing everything that's going on between my legs. They're sex offenders. They're not police officers. And they have no authority under the law. They have no immunity. They are walking around, in other words, with regard to a federal prosecution, they might as well be in the nude because they are indecently exposed. They have no immunity. I'm going to prosecute them as the bare-boned terrorists that they are. They're not getting a dime. You're not getting retirement, a 401k. Nobody cares about any family. You're not getting any of that. And if you forgot why, we're going to recall the record in court. No one's going to forget why. You are terrorists, and that's exactly how you're going to be treated. Under the law, which they are not above at all. Of course not. No one is, but of course not. They're literally vagina monitors. They're pathetic. You're following me around in helicopters. That speaks to how much you think of me, how important I am, how fearful you are of me. And not because I've done anything wrong, but because you have. And you know what's coming. And you're so psychotic, you keep doing it. You keep doing it more and more and more, serving me. You know why? Because you're already cursed. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Acting in obedience to what you have already been sentenced to. That's why you're so stupid. And your stupidity is a matter of record. It is currently 11:47 p.m. What the Ontario Police Department are doing, the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, the people of the state are sharing, and that's an entity. That's the entity engaging in what is direct action. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:47 p.m. I'm at ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance, very foolishly and very boldly engaging in that. And this is a communication of terrorists who are making the threat that they pose to this country, to American citizens, abundantly clear. And that's exactly what's going to be interpreted in the federal tribunal. P.O.C.